Who has the most potential in college football? Now, this is going to be specifically people. We'll do a team version of this segment here in the future, but when it comes to who has the most potential in college football, coach or player, I got to start with the coach. That's Dan Lanning at Oregon, man. It is, like, both internally and externally, there is everything there for success for Coach Lanning and the Ducks. 22-5 in 2 years. So he's still figuring out how to be a head coach. Like, he's still going through his notes and tweaking the process. Doesn't hurt that he was around some of the greats. Nick Saban, probably heard of him. Kirby Smart, you definitely know who that is. He's still figuring out what he's going to be as a head coach, but he's got tremendous influences behind him. The thing that I love so much about Dan Lanning, and the reason why I think he's going to continue to crush it out there in Eugene, he prioritizes and embraces recruiting. Like, you hear coaches say this a lot to players. I can't want it for you, son. I can't want it for you. I can't want to go 110%. Dan Lanning goes 120% at all times, especially on the recruiting trail. Don't trust me, trust the numbers. Had a top 3 class in 2024, had a top 10 class in 23, currently working on another top 10 class in 2025, if not higher than that. Also, by the way, they've crushed it in the portal. Just look at that quarterback room. They got 2 of the top 5 cats from this past portal cycle that are there. Dante Moore and Dylan Gabriel, both obviously in that winter cycle. Evan Stewart, got him from A&M. Like, they're going to be a player when it comes to acquiring talent, both on the high school side and the portal side. And Dan Lanning will tell you, man, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes. Now, to be fair, Dan Lanning, another reason why I think he's got tons of potential is when it comes to the X's and the O's, like, he knows what he's doing there as well. He has hired not 1 but 2 offensive coordinators in his 2 seasons as a head coach out there in Oregon. Both home runs. Kenny Dillingham, you hire him, you have success. He goes out to be a head coach at Arizona State, which is the cost of having success. And then what happens? You go out and hire another guy to be your OC, and Will Stein, you don't miss a beat. Bo Nix is a Heisman Trophy candidate. So the brand and the resources at Oregon are going to continue to support Dan Lanning and how he acquires talent. And that brand of Oregon, too, I'll say this, it's national. Like people know that, when they see it, especially when it comes to adding recruits at the high school or the portal level. So Oregon, I think they are made for modern college football. I think Dan Lanning is made for modern college football, and he's just getting started. Just getting started. Dan Lanning, one of the most potential-rich individuals in college football. Carson Beck, man, also I think has some of the most potential in college football, and people are seeing this and saying, well, JD, didn't he have a good year last year? Yeah, he did, but guess what? Last year was his first year as a starting quarterback in college football. He waited his turn at Georgia. Stetson Bennett, do your thing. I'll be here. I could hit the portal, probably start somewhere else tomorrow. Waits his turn, has a ton of success last year. As I mentioned, almost 4,000 yards through the air, 24 touchdowns, 6 picks, a completion percentage of 72%. Y'all being a first-year starting quarterback in the SEC, I don't care who you play for, that stat line doesn't happen. It also probably is worth noting here, he didn't have Brock Bowers or Ladd McConkey consistently healthy throughout the course of last year. His best weapons, and he still did numbers like Good Will Hunting, y'all. So I think this upcoming season, they've added some more depth when it comes to playmakers for him. Colby Young from Miami, we've talked about him. Oscar Delp gets another year under his belt. Dominic Levitt, another year under his belt. London Humphreys, a burner from Vanderbilt, is going to play wide receiver for them. Trevor Etienne. Like, we could keep going here. They got more weapons to support Carson Beck. This one is not complex. This is not like a trick equation or a trick question as to why Carson Beck is going to be successful. He gets more experience, more confidence in himself, and also the staff, I have to believe, probably trust Carson Beck a little bit more this time than they did last year. And that's not to say they didn't trust Carson Beck, but as an offensive coordinator, as a staff, you're trying to not put too much on your first-year quarterback's shoulders when he gets the job. And oh, by the way, you're the defending national champions, kid. Don't screw it up. Like, that was the situation he walked into. This year, I think with the experience and the trust that he has, they're going to cut him loose a little bit more, and Kirby Smart has said this. So if I'm buying stock, buy stock in Carson Beck. I would encourage you to do so. Caleb Downs. He's just getting going. Like, he's just getting cooking as well. We talked about Carson Beck, his first year as a starting quarterback. He had some years to sit behind Stetson Bennett. Caleb Downs, it was his first year playing college football, period. He was playing college football at one of the most visible brands in the sport, in a position group that was the GOAT's baby, which is, of course, Nick Saban. Like the secondary, that is his unit now. If you don't play well in the secondary for him, like you're going to hear about it. He was a true freshman in the most difficult conference in America, and he made it look easy. Had over 100 tackles. He was 4th in the SEC in tackles, and he was 1st in Alabama in tackles on the team. His football IQ is through the roof. It's superior. There's no question about it. Now he transfers with the departure of Nick Saban, or the retirement of Nick Saban, rather. I guess Nick Saban hit the portal of game day, and we appreciate him for that as college football fans because we're going to get to watch that. That'll be awesome. Love that he's around the game still. Hits the portal, goes to Ohio State. I have no question he'll pick up the offense. It'll be pick up opposing offenses, rather. He'll pick up the defense. He'll have success. This came out yesterday. Might play some running back. Do you need that to happen if you're Ohio State? No. If you're an Ohio State fan, you're like, oh gosh, do we really need him back there exposing himself to more contact and maybe getting injured? We got Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. I hear you on that. I understand. My personal philosophy is if a little is good, a lot is great. A little athleticism and talent in that backfield is good. A lot is probably great. You definitely don't give Caleb Downs anything north of 10 carries a game or anything like that. But situationally, you get to those games later in the year, get to the game against Oregon October 12th in Autzen, but who knows when that is again. No, not like we're tracking it like a hawk or anything. Not like we're counting down the days till that game. If you get him the right touches in the right situations on the right stages, and he can have a couple of moments for you in big games and even be a decoy for you. I'm just saying, Caleb Downs, if he contributes on the offensive side of the football in the right capacity, he will be a Heisman Trophy finalist. We've said that many times so far since this news came out. I'm saying it again. Caleb Downs, tons of potential. That's his jumping off point last year. Absolutely ridiculous. Brian Kelly. You're saying, JD, Brian Kelly, isn't he 62 years old? God bless him, he's 62 years old, and he is like a spring chicken. The reason why he came to LSU is for the potential of that job. Brian Kelly has won 73% of his games. He's coached a long time now. At Orgeron, won a national title at LSU. His career winning percentage, even with that magical undefeated run that LSU went on, 58%. Les Miles, even if you're not vacating the wins, that's a whole other discussion, career winning percentage of 66%. Won a national title at LSU. And so for Brian Kelly, if I'm looking at this thing from a broad strokes perspective, from a winning percentage perspective, he is a better coach than 2 other individuals that have won national titles at that same school. The question when Brian Kelly got there was, I don't know if it's a fit, the fake accent, this, that, and all those things. I mean, if you watched the show, you knew we never bought into that for a second. If you win, if you recruit, you're a fit. Brian Kelly in 2 years, 2 10-win seasons, 2 top 10 recruiting classes, working on his 3rd right now. He is a fit, okay? Looks like he's a fit just fine in my eyes. They have every resource they need at LSU to be successful. Going back to Brian Kelly, why he left Notre Dame. He could have been a 10-win machine at Notre Dame. Make the college football playoff, I guess, in this 12-team format we didn't really know about, but he could have been a 10-9-win guy pretty much every year at Notre Dame. I happen to believe that. Goes to LSU because of the resources, the fertile recruiting grounds, being in the SEC. Like, it is about winning a national title at LSU. That is why Brian Kelly is there. I have to believe that. So I think the best is yet to come for him. I think he's just laying the foundation for what he's going to do in Baton Rouge. Brian Kelly, some of the most potential in college football. Feel pretty confident in saying that. Here's a kind of a sneaky one for you. Isaiah Bond at Texas. Yep, Isaiah Bond, the transfer wide receiver from Alabama, is now in Austin. And the situation for him with that offense, the Steve Sarkisian and Quinn Ewers, it is ready-made for success. Because tell you what, man, Adonai Mitchell, which is his legal name, and Xavier Worthy are both gone to the league. They leave a nice little hole there for a receiver to fill of, 2,000 yards, give or take, of production. Now, Texas also went to the portal and added some other individuals to help fill that void. But Isaiah Bond, man, I think what you saw last year with him at Alabama was sort of the appetizer to what he can be at Texas, because Alabama and their offense, they were still trying to find rhythm. I think Jalen Milroe will explode this year at Alabama, but I don't think he was a version of himself that was, or the offense rather, was a version of itself to really cut Isaiah Bond loose. Even with that being the case, he averaged 14 yards a reception. He's explosive as all get out. He's got elite speed. And this offense, you give Steve Sarkisian someone with elite speed who can win one-on-one, and give Quinn Ewers someone to deliver the football to, now him going into year 3 a little bit more poised for a big year, Isaiah Bond's going to cook. He's going to have a massive year. I think he's going to be a 1,000-plus yard receiver guy. It's call our shot season, so add that to the list. Isaiah Bond will be, in my opinion, a 1,000-yard receiver when it's all said and done this season at Texas. Last one for you, and this is a layup. This is like the layup of all layups if you're going with like the long game in mind. Nico Iamaleava is teeming with potential. We talked about him on yesterday's show. I'm going to do it one more time right now. He is an uber-talented quarterback, number 1 player in 2023, according to us here at On 3, in a quarterback-centric offense where the whole system goes through the quarterback, decision-making, pushing the ball downfield, all of that, coached by a head coach who's the play caller, who's now got a walkie-talkie in his hand directly to your helmet, who also played quarterback, who speaks the language at a really, really high level in Josh Heupel. So all those things mesh together to where I'm like, Nico Iamaleava, if he puts it all together and the game comes to him correctly and he's able to hit the ground running, which we've said a lot around young Nico, he's going to be special, man. Like Hendon Hooker probably should have been a Heisman finalist in 2022. Nico Iamaleava physically is more gifted than Hendon Hooker. Now, Hendon Hooker did some things from a savvy perspective, and I mean, he had some things going for him from an experience level that allowed him to be so successful in 2022. But that's Josh Heupel. That is essentially telling us that when we talked to him during an interview, he's like, yeah, Nico is as talented as any kid I've coached. To me, he is saying what I just told you. I think every physical gifting that Hendon Hooker had, Nico has, and maybe then some. So a lot of people last year were maybe a little bit flustered at times with the Tennessee offense, and they were expecting the 2022 version of that offense with Joe Milton at 2023 because he's got all these tools, he's got the rocket arm, he can do backflips, and hands up, I told y'all that the offense was going to stay on beat from 2022 to 2023. That did not happen, so hey, we missed there. But a lot of folks last year called for Nico. Hey, he's so talented, get him in the game. What's the worst that could happen? Tell you what, the fact that he got to sit behind Joe Milton and learn college life, develop physically in the weight room, learn the offense, get up to speed, learn how to practice, all those things, that is going to pay massive, massive dividends in 2024. The red shirt, I think, is arguably his greatest asset going into 2024. The experience, the fact that he didn't have to play right away and allowed the whole college football game to come to him, which we love. So who has the most potential in college football? Dan Lanning, without a shadow of a doubt. I think he is the guy to win a national title at Oregon if they're going to get it done. Carson Beck, he's just getting started. Year 1 last year, he cooked last year. That was just the opener. He's about to cook again in 2024 with more weapons. Caleb Downs, play some running back. I'm just saying, all bets are off. He's going to flash at Ohio State. Brian Kelly, he's 62, but he's in this job at LSU now where he is, I think, really cooking with some gas. Isaiah Bond, ready-made situation. Poised quarterback, mastermind offensively, a head coach and Steve Sarkisian. A lot of speed for him. He's going to have a massive year. And then Nico Iamaleava. Telling y'all, a lot of announcers right now, a lot of play-by-play guys are sitting by themselves in their office or in their booth or wherever they practice at, and they're just saying, Iamaleava, Iamaleava, with the strike. Like they are practicing saying his name because they're going to have to say it a lot in a positive manner. So those individuals, for my money, have the most potential in college football. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.